Hello everyone, Ben here, and we are here in the Callaway Corvette C7 at the Red Bull Ring for a 15-minute multi-class ranked race in RaceRoom, and we are about to get underway. And there we go, the lights are green. We're starting in 8th place, and we've had a decent getaway there. In fact, we've actually managed to gain a place from Hansen, and we're up into 7th place. We're going to come over to the racing line and then try and attack the apex. We get a big nudge from behind from a bit of an over-enthusiastic driver coming down our inside. But all in all, considering just how tricky a first turn that is, we've got away with it okay. We've got a little bit of suspension damage, but we're running now into T3. We're going to try and take the inside line down the inside of Wolpertinger up ahead. We hit the apex nicely, but we just get blocked off from Foster, who was running slowly on exit. Tiny bit of contact, but nothing too serious. But it does mean that we've got a compromised exit, and we weren't able to make the place up into 6th. And now, in fact, we're under attack from the car behind. We're going to take a defensive line into the corner, make sure that he's got nowhere to go. He has to then get out of the accelerator on exit, and we can consolidate 7th position. We're coming now into the second half of the lap, and it looks as if, from what I can see, certainly looking up ahead, but even in my rear view mirror, that the majority of the field has gotten through those first couple of corners, this first half of the lap, cleanly, which is nothing short of a miracle, given how raucous the servers have been this week on RaceRoom. So we're coming now down towards the end of the first lap. We just need to keep it nice and neat and tidy here, as we're still getting the tyres up to temperature. One car up ahead, I think that's Foster, running wide on the exit of the final corner. He might pick up a slowdown penalty for that. But all in all, I think we've got to be pretty happy with that first lap. You can see then the runners up ahead, you'll see this throughout the race, take a really aggressive wide line into T1. It's, of all the corners on this Red Bull Ring lap, the one that I find most challenging to get right and carry as much speed through, and I end up more often than not taking it a little bit conservatively through there so as to not either run wide on exit or pinch the apex too much and end up losing time by bumping that orange curb on the inside. Let's take a little look back then at the opening lap, and in particular the start. You can see just how bunched up the field gets as we head into T1. Not that easy to identify where we are in all of this, but as you can see, we get through pretty cleanly. And look at that behind us. I mean, yes, there's a couple of cars running wide, but you'd expect that. But nobody gets turned around. There doesn't seem to be any significant damage. And as I say, that's probably the cleanest T1 at the Red Bull Ring I think I've ever seen. We're heading now into T3 and looking to get down the inside of the Porsche ahead, but we just can't make it work. We get blocked off on exit. That's going to put us then under pressure, heading down the back straight. You can see the car behind us just moving to the outside, but we're going to park it essentially in the middle of the road to not give him much of a chance to either get down our inside or around our outside, and that does the trick. Up ahead then, there was a fascinating battle developing between Gunther and Foster, and that allowed us really to stay in touch a little bit longer with the cars up ahead. You can see there Foster making the move down the inside, but he's going to get challenged back as Gunther looks to try and get the inside line, and he manages to do it down the hill. Fantastic bit of racing there between the two drivers. Foster's going to have another final look down into the left-hander, but isn't able to make that stick. So we rejoin then about half race distance. It's been really close racing. It's been really fair racing, but really the positions have been relatively static up until this point. We've been trying to close in on the back of Wolpertinger, but we just haven't been able to make it work so far. But as you can see, we've got the gap down now to around half a second. Our pace is very, very well matched, it seems, in this race so far. So it's going to come down to who makes a mistake, who blinks first, as to whether there's more positions in this race to gain. We've got a decent gap back, about a second and a half to Hansen behind. Oh, but look at that, just as I say that, Wolpertinger gets in deep. That's going to give us a run out of the corner, is it? Not quite. He's able to recover and get back onto the racing line. We're in his draft and only 2/10 behind, but I'm not sure that's going to give us a run down into the difficult downhill braking zone of the right-hander here. We both take to the curb. It's a little bit messy, but unfortunately we can't get a move done there. But it just goes to show, if we're able to keep putting some pressure on, stay big in the rear view mirror of Wolpertinger up ahead, then he might make a mistake and we might have an opportunity to squeeze past. Hansen, who's behind us, as I was just saying before, he qualified ahead of us but it seems as if we have decent race pace on him. We've got a gap now of around 1.5 seconds, 2 seconds. It fluctuates a little bit, but he's not really applying pressure to us from behind. So essentially I'm now looking at what seems to be a relatively comfortable 7th place, but with the opportunity to try and grab 6th. The cars up ahead, Foster, Gunther, Dem, all seem a little bit too fast for us today. But look at this, we've now got the run on Wolpertinger. We're going to have a little look down in the inside of T1. I really don't have any intention of overtaking down into that corner. It's just much too dangerous. But I do want to try and give him a sense that I'm looking for any opportunity available, so that maybe he locks up, maybe he runs wide. We've definitely got a good run on him here though into T3. Up the hill, we're going to take to the inside. We're going to be alongside him into the braking zone. Try and get the pace down. We make a slight bit of contact. There's a car on our inside, and we've managed to make up 2 spots there as we do pass Wolpertinger. And there must have been some incident. There was a yellow flag out on the infield section of that corner. Somebody must have gone round. We'll take a little look at that in a moment. But at this stage I'm just trying to hold the position and make sure that I don't get too excited down into the right-hander. And we have, so we're up into 5th place, and it looks like Gunther is down into 7th. Let's take a little look back at that action. So you can see us then coming down on the previous lap, putting on a bit of pressure to try and get past Wolpertinger, but not being able to make it stick in that instant. We are in his draft here, and we're going to try and just show a little bit down to the inside, but there's no way past that point. He takes quite a nice line into the corner. But if we fast forward to the next lap, that's when a real opportunity comes. So he gives us space on the inside. He tries to crowd us to the apex, but all fair. We are then able to make our way down the inside, but look at how close we were to making contact with Gunther. Unbelievable. So I wonder what happened to him, because he was running well clear of us with Forster up ahead. There must have been some sort of coming together. But before we get to that, look at how aggressively Wolpertinger is trying to get back past us. He can't make it happen. Here's the incident then between the 2 cars up ahead. It's actually Gunther trying to make a move on the car ahead, and it's Foster who turns around. Oh, and then when rejoining, that looks as if it's Hansen who loses out. He will not have seen that coming at all. In fact, here's the view from his bonnet cam as he comes into the corner. Wow, where did he come from? And that is going to definitely have landed him with some damage to get through to the end of this race with. That's really very, very unfortunate. We are now then into the final stages of this race and holding 5th place. But Wolpertinger is not going anywhere. He is putting on an unbelievable amount of pressure. You can see him looming large in our rear view mirror. He's well within 0.2 of a second. He's going to take an outside line into the corner and then maybe try and cut back on the inside. That's not going to work for him this time around. But we are nevertheless going to be under pressure all the way to the end of this race, it seems. He is later on the brakes than we are there. He's keeping us really, really honest in our mirrors. Any mistake that we make is certainly going to give him an opportunity to get past. He's again going to be late on the brakes and is looking to squeeze down our inside. Less than a tenth separated us there. He's almost pushing us through the corner. He's going to shape to our inside now. He would be very brave to make a move down into this final set of corners, which he thinks better of. But he's going to try and stick close to us as we come down now onto the start-finish straight. And there might be an opportunity for him, but he's ran wide, and that's probably going to slow him down on exit. So that's going to give us a tiny bit of breathing space. He's still just half a second behind, but it means that we can at least give ourselves a little bit of space coming into T1. We do hit the curb though, and that's going to compromise our exit there, is it? But actually it doesn't look as if Wolpertinger got too much of a better exit than we did. So for the first time really since we made the pass, we've got a little bit of a gap back to the car behind. But look at this, as we come into T3, he gets on the brakes much later than we do. We get a little bit squirrely on exit, and that has brought him right back onto our rear bumper again. So just as I thought we might be getting a little bit of space from him. And look at this, on the right hand side we've got the only GT4 car running in this field as we're going to come around to lap him. And we had on our outside Wolpertinger trying to make a move into the right hander. We just about held that together, and we're able to safely pass the back marker while holding our position. But as we come into the left hander here, we're going to get off the apex and we're going to run wide. We're now going to be right up on the curb. We managed to not go onto the grass or the gravel, but that's given Wolpertinger a chance down our inside, has it? Just about. We had enough space to keep him behind there. He couldn't get on the gas early enough. I've got to say at this point, The only way in which you can have these sorts of battles cleanly with somebody who's running behind you and is trying to pass, albeit he's ran wide there, is if both drivers are behaving respectfully and not trying to put the other off the track. There were any number of moments there in that last piece of action where Wolpertinger could have pitched us into the gravel and made the position up, but he didn't. And I think that's really great. And actually, the more you see of that in the ranked servers, the more enjoyable it is. Here's a little look back at some of those moves as we came past there. The GT4 runner, Wolpertinger on our outside, trying to get the cutback move done, but he can't quite get on the traction early enough. And then just a couple of corners later, there's us up on the curbs. That's going to compromise our speed. Wolpertinger on the inside, but again, he can't make that move stick in this instance. He gets a much better exit than we do though, and he's going to be all over the back of us again heading into these final couple of corners. He takes a wide entry in to try and get to the apex, but unfortunately for him in this instance that puts him wide, and it probably gives him a little slowdown penalty as well. We're coming through now then onto what will be the closing laps of the race. Again, you'll see in our rear view mirror, Wolpertinger is all over the back of us. He's again shaping to get to the inside. Foster's broken clear here, so it doesn't look as if there's going to be any chance of making up any more positions. We basically have to try and hold 5th position. The last lap of this race is going to be about defending our position and bringing home what would be a really great 5th place as we come then into the final set of corners, and there's a yellow flag out. And what's happened there? I couldn't see any action on the track, but it looks as if Forster's dropped back and we have gone up into 4th place. So he must have had some sort of incident at the final corner. We'll take a little look back at that at the end of this lap, which is now the final lap of the race. But against all the odds, having looked as if 7th or 6th place was going to be the best we get from today, we're now up into 4th place. And in going through that incident, it seems as if we've been able to build a bit of a gap to Wolpertinger. I don't know if he was perhaps held up through that yellow flag, but it has meant that as we come into T3, although he does run very aggressively into here again, we've got enough of a gap back to him to not feel too under pressure. And providing then, through the remainder of this lap, we don't make any more mistakes, we should be able to bring home an unbelievable 4th place. We come now down into the right hander, and we do just get a little bit heavy on the brakes. The tyres are screaming out a little bit at this point of the race, but nothing too dramatic, and it means that we're still got a decent enough gap back to Wolpertinger into this last set of corners. And there is no obvious overtaking point now on the rest of the lap. If we keep it neat and tidy, if we stick to our apexes, we don't run wide, we don't put a tyre into the gravel, then it really doesn't matter how close he gets in this final couple of corners. There's not really going to be a way through for him. Having said that, he is very close. He's going to come to the outside, get plenty of curb, then look to try and duck back to the apex. He's carrying more speed than we are through these corners, but we just about managed to block him off on the apex. He's going to run wide on exit to try and get the run on us down the straight. He's peeling to the right hand side to try and get past us, but it's not going to happen for him. We are going to bring home a 4th place in this race. Fantastic racing. In fairness, all the way through the race, that was really, really enjoyable. Here's a replay of Forster's incident. He just gets on the gas too early, it seems, coming around the final couple of corners. He even makes contact with the barrier. There we are with Wolpertinger coming through. He rejoins them behind us. But look at this, who's behind him but Gunter, trying to make back the spot that he lost in that incident in T3, and he's going to do it. He sneaks ahead of him. So that's a little bit of redemption for him. And then let's just take a final look at the final couple of corners for us, as we were coming under unbelievable pressure from Wolpertinger, but we managed to hold him behind. And once again, I just have to say fair play to him, because it would have been the easiest thing in the world for us to make contact, and when you're racing that close with somebody, you really are relying on them to be sensible and not pitch you off the track. So there we are. Unfortunately, my recording didn't stretch as far to get the classified results, but we came home in 4th. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time.